here. First, just welcome everyone. We started this speaker series in response to the pandemic and the stay at home and the virtual learning and the online learning and the students home and remote learning, and listening to our educators asking for something that they could incorporate into what they're doing with their students for themselves. And so we created this series. Today we find ourselves with all of the above still in place and protests happening across the country, globally, because Black Lives Matter. And that message needs to be heard. It needs to be translated into action, systemic change, structural change. So while the pandemic and stay at home is still in place, there are bigger issues confronting us here in the US for sure. And full stop, Black Lives Matter. And so what I'm gonna ask us to do before we get into this program today is to just take a moment to reflect, remember, their names, too many to name right now, and just to take a moment of silence, please.
Right.
Thank you, friends. I am going to now pass it over to the most awesome Simran.
Hi, my name is Simran. I'm a senior at Brooklyn Technical High School in Brooklyn, New York. I want to thank everyone for being here, and obviously RFK for hosting this among the other programs in this series. So to begin, a little bit of housekeeping. We would like to ask everyone to keep your audio off until you are asking a question, which will happen on later in the session. After Sonita completes her comments, I will ask questions from the registration. And after we address questions sent in with the registrations, we will call on participants to ask their questions or share a reflection or thought about their own activism. If you would like to ask Sonita a question, please put an asterisk next to your question and we will throw it to you. Remember, please include your name and where you are from. Last housekeeping. Students, the final session will directly address your issues and how you are taking action. Please send your answers to the 3 questions in the chat to STTP. The first question is, what issues do you most care about? The second, what change would you like to see on that issue? And the third, how have you or would you like to take action? Send your responses to sttp@rfkhumanrights.org. Okay, with that said, welcome to the 4th event in the Speak Truth to Power Human Rights Defender Speaker Series. Speak Truth to Power is the human rights education program of Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights. Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights was founded by family and friends to carry on his unfinished business addressing civil rights, farm workers' rights, social justice, and human rights. A core strategic area of RFK Human Rights is that everyone is a human rights defender. Over the course of this speaker series, we hope students and educators alike gain a new and perhaps greater insight into how everyone can protect, promote, and defend human rights. Today's speaker is Sonita Alizadeh. Sonita is an Afghan rapper and activist working to end child marriage. Narrowly escaping a forced marriage herself when she was just 16, Alizadeh found poetry, photography, and music, rap music in particular, to be outlets for self-expression while growing up as an undocumented refugee in Tehran. Through her music and activism, Alizadeh's message has inspired young people around the world to join her in the fight against child marriage. So now we're going to watch Brides for Sale, which is the song and music video that she created, and I think it's a really powerful piece. And I think, like, especially in a time like this, it's important to see how young people like herself are really stepping up and leading a lot of these movements. And yeah, like RFK's message is, everyone is a human rights defender. So whether that's you starting now or continuing your fight, I think her work is really, really important and powerful, and there's a lot to be learned. And yeah.
Jenny's checking the sound, so hold on, everybody. All right, we're going to get this up in a moment. Hold on, folks. We got it.
When you go in to share the screen, there should be a tick mark at the bottom that says share computer sound.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. Trying to remedy it. Try this again.
Hello.
And hello.
So I just wanted to call so we're not like
Yeah, nice.
شاید برای خودکشی از حماقت آدم چاره ای نداره وقتی بی حمایت اما تا مراقبم که کنده باشه این کاری نمی‌کنم که ضرر کنده باشه اگه فروش ببری شما جای خوشحالی سعی می‌کنم درست بگم همه چی عالیه مگه از خدا من لبخند باشه بله باشه ما اگه لبخند دارم من بچه واقع باشه اما ای کاش کنم بره شما مرور شه کاش بفهمید نگفته زن بری فروشه چه با شان باشیم نمفتاد به آرامشه تنها بذاریم بذار از آرایشه صورته که بوده یه جارایشه درمون نمیکنه کاری که شما کردین کافر با مثل ما نمیکنه خدا زنجا بره وقتی بری و بی احساسی در آغوش کسی بری که اون نمیشناسی یه ادامه دادن هم به سختیه بریم به خوشی شما نهایت خوش برتیه اما به من نگاه میچنیم بعضیات نباید کسی که با مرزاب بالا سر شما بود و سهر به بیرون و عطوش به شما دست برو اما نگرانم شما دست کی بزنم به بیرون مگه دلتنگه بشو دل شما عروس خونه بیبارو میذارم بره شما نکنیم او هم مثل مشکای جاری باشه خواهشم رو نکشید بذاری یادگاری باشه یادگاری باشه
Okay, so such an incredible piece of art. I'm going to talk a little bit about the arts as a part of human rights education and as a part of human rights advocacy. Art in general helps us see a different perspective from our own. And even if you have not experienced what Sonita has experienced, even if you don't know a lot about child marriage, so much is expressed through her song, through her rap, through the visuals. Her anguish is palpable, her pain is palpable, and even though we may not speak the same language, her message is very clear, and it brings out our humanness. It makes us connect. That's the beauty of art. I want to do something. I want to take action because I see another person suffering. And there's something so powerful about using art as a tool to express pain because of its driving rhythm. I think the combination of Sonita's message and using it through rap is just such a powerful choice. And so art helps us see perspectives different from our own, and through all kinds of art, through film and music and visual art and spoken word and poetry, we can see each other's humanity and motivation and the different conflicts that exist. And then we get to witness the stories of other people other than ourselves. And that is what creates empathy. And that is why art is so amazing and powerful, is that it creates empathy. And art can express what words cannot. It gives those creating art the space to provoke and to voice how they're feeling and to explain what they're experiencing through a medium other than just words. And art also reminds us that we're not alone. Watching Sonita's piece, we all are human beings and we all experience pain, and through that we are able to connect and understand each other, and we see ourselves within pieces of art, and we can be reminded that others are experiencing similar struggles. It can encourage us to keep moving forward and to keep learning, even when it's hard, even when it's painful. And I think that's a really good lesson to learn, considering what's happening in our world and in our country right now. It helps promote social discourse and have conversations and dialogues that can lead to social change. And it demands society to examine itself and study and try to understand the problems that we have in order to find solutions. And when audiences see a piece of art, we become more informed about the human rights issue. Audience members feel agency and the desire to disrupt and sometimes recognize for the first time oppressive patterns that exist and become more aware of their attitudes and behaviors individually. And then through these realizations, a deeper understanding will evolve, and we are more likely to take action. And if you think about art that you've seen in your life and how it's impacted you in the way you see the world, the way you see yourself in the world. I was just thinking about John Lennon's song Imagine, how prevalent and important it is as today as the day that he wrote it. And how if we can imagine, if we use our positive thinking, it can create change. It's a good place to start imagining a better world. I was also thinking about the song Rage Against the Machine song, Killing in the Name of, which was written in response to the beating of Rodney King in 1991. And I think that song is something that really is resonant today. Jill Scott Herons has an amazing poetry piece. It's like a poetry song called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. And it's a musical poem that lists the kind of like ridiculous advertising slogans that parody the seriousness of the civil rights movement. And Marvin Gaye's song as well, What's Going On, very prevalent today, which came out of him witnessing police attacking Vietnam War protesters. And what you saw today, Sonita's piece, I'm sure will stick with you. It resonates. It's a human having a human experience. We're all human beings. And so art, it not only generates awareness, but it is a catalyst to engage community members to take action around a social issue. And that's really important about taking action. And speaking of taking action, I'm going to quickly plug two things that we currently have going on. We have a music contest and we have a video contest. If you feel the best way you can speak truth to power is through the arts, participate in our contest. They close on the 15th. You can get more information at rfkhumanrights.org. You can write a song about a social justice issue that really resonates with you, about Black Lives Matter, about social justice issues that have come to light based on the COVID experience of the pandemic that's going on. So yes, you can take action through the arts today if you feel like it. And with that, I will pass it over to Karen.
All right, so I told you we were waiting for Sonita because she's working, but we have her. So we were gonna see the Discovery Education piece, but better yet, we have the real thing. So Simran, to you.
I would like to officially introduce Sonita, and the floor is yours.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So, how long should be the introduction?
So we've seen Brides for Sale, and that is all we've seen. So if you could share kind of more of your story and where you are now, and I know you have some amazing stuff going on now. So yeah, take it away.
So, yes, my name is Sonita, and I was born in Afghanistan, in Herat, but my family fled Afghanistan because of the Taliban. So we went to Iran as refugees. I was in Iran for a few years, and by law, I was never allowed to go to school. But I was lucky because there I found an NGO that provided basic education to young Afghans like me. So it was there that I learned about myself, about my dreams, about music, and then it was there that I gained more self-confidence. And then it was also there that I learned more about injustice. It was also there that I learned what actually child marriage does to children, to my friends, for example. So I was in Iran for a while with my family, and then after a few years, they all went back to Afghanistan. But I begged my family to allow me to stay with my brother, so I could cook and clean for him. But obviously my plan was to do something else, like going to school without letting them know. And when he was at work, I was in school, working, also getting an education, learning things that I really wanted to, like reading and writing, because it was always my wish to learn how to write my name, how to write my siblings' names. So when my brother was at work, I was at the NGO. I was also working at the gym where I wanted to work for them, like cleaning, but instead they would allow me to learn how to do karate. It was also there that I heard Eminem for the first time. He was very angry, and then I felt the same because I had so much to say and I didn't know how to echo the anger that was stuck in my throat. So first I started by writing a poem and pop music, but I had so much to say that if I would try to say it through pop music, it would be a really long song. And then I tried rap music. I found it to be the best way to share my story and also to share other stories, like about child labor, immigration, child marriage. So I wrote my first rap song without letting my family know, and it's called Child Labor. Through that song, I got to meet Rokhsar Qaim Maqami, an Iranian filmmaker. So she heard the song. She was very surprised because in Iran, women are not allowed to sing solo rap, especially about things that are very important to the society, like old traditions, child marriage. And she was very interested in helping me with my next music video, because my first music video I cut footage from other people's videos, which was illegal, but I didn't know. I just wanted to make my music video. And she was there with me. She followed me with her camera. Her goal was to follow me for a few days to make the music video. But then she stayed with me for 3 years just to follow my life, struggling with immigration situation, child labor, child marriage. It was there that she found my mother when she came to Iran, telling me that there was a guy waiting for me in Afghanistan. So they needed money in order to pay for my brother's dowry. Uh, I begged my mom to allow me to stay in Iran. Obviously, she didn't agree, but the filmmaker, she paid her a little bit money and bought some time for me for like 6 months. When she left, um, I decided to add to my crime, which was making more music. Because when my mother, she said I had to marry, I wasn't obviously surprised because I was always waiting for it. This was something that happened to my mom when she was 12 years old. And this was something that happened to my other sisters when they were, I don't know, maybe 17 or 16. So this was something that I've seen it my entire life. And I knew that it's going to be my turn. I knew that it's going to be me the next time. But the difference was that I knew my potential. I knew what I could do in the future just being a mother. So that's why I was a rebellion compared to my sister, because I knew what I could do in the future. So, and because my sisters, maybe they didn't really have a role model for themselves, they couldn't really fight it. They couldn't see more for themselves. But because of the NGO, I could see my dreams. I had a dreams book. I always mention this in every interview or in every meeting that I have, because it's a big part of my life. So this dreams book helped me to see my dreams. It was so clear for me that if I stand up for them, if I believe in them, if I hold on tight to them, and if I have enough self-confidence, I can have my dreams come true. So it was because of my dreams that I did not give up, and I stood up against someone that I loved the most, my mother, my family. I stood up because I could fix it, what was wrong, what they couldn't see that was wrong. And then when she left, I wrote Daughters for Sale. It was my feeling, it was my story, also the story of my friends who appeared in the classroom with the bruises on their faces just because of standing for their rights, just because of saying no to child marriage. And when I saw one of them with bruises on her face, I I imagined it to be in a music video. Like maybe some people think this is just like a music video, but this is a real story. This is what I saw. And the idea came from my friend's story, what happened to her. And then when the song was done by the help of Roxara, she introduced me to YouTube. I didn't know anything about YouTube back then. I didn't even have a laptop. So she helped me to publish it on the internet. I honestly, I didn't know that more than, I don't know, 1,000 people going to see it. And in 2 days, there were so many people sending messages, sending support, and then sharing with each other this song. And then this was the time that fear came to me because I was so scared. I was like, now that maybe some Afghans, they have this song, so maybe my family is gonna see it too. So I turned off my phone for a few days because I was scared of my family. And then when they called me, my mother, she was like, yeah, I saw your song. It was good. It was a big change for me. She was not excited very much, but this was a big change in my life because having her approval to say that it was good, that means she gave me permission to go ahead, to change my future, to do what I want to do in the future, to become who I want to be. Even though my brothers, they were not happy with what I did, especially appearing in a music video, which is not okay for conservative Afghans. That was very shocking for them. Also, after that, my family, they had to fight with other relatives because they thought not only I broke laws, I broke traditions, I'm disrespecting my family and with their boundaries. But my mom, she stood up for me and she fought for my rights because she could see I could do more. It didn't happen that easily. It was after when I came to the US. I didn't tell them when I came to the US. Obviously, I caused them more pain and anger when I came here by myself because an Afghan girl would never travel alone by herself. We always have to be with someone. So when I came to the US, I called them. They thought I'm going to Kabul, first of all. And then when I came to the US, they were very mad, angry. My mom hung up the phone on me. But after a while, when I started my activism, when I went to Utah, I had the ability to look for more information to see what child marriage is actually doing to other people and where is it happening. So by the help of internet, I learned that it was happening everywhere. It's not only in Afghanistan or in Iran. Then I decided to share my story when the documentary was almost done by my arrival in the US. As the documentary was playing everywhere, I travel with the documentary sharing my story because it is very important. If you are fighting for an issue, you have to have a real face of that issue. Otherwise, you can't say that person or this person. If it's you, if it's your story, it's more powerful and it can really show them that this issue is not just an issue, it's real, it's happening right now. So Uh, when I travel around the world, I did performances, I did interviews, meeting world leaders. All of this, it helped my family to see more, to see that as a girl, I can do more. As a girl, I can save my own life, also help others to see more for themselves. And then after a while, it took a long time, took so much energy to see my mom that there is more for girls. And then after that, my mom became my biggest fan. And then my brothers were okay. My nephews, my nieces would rap my songs in my family. And it was just so beautiful to see that. And today, not only they are supportive of what I'm doing, they are very, very happy for me to come to Afghanistan to have concerts. So it's just like it took so much time for them to realize that I have power enough to change my own destiny, to change my future, to be who I want to be. And today, they don't tell me what to do, but in fact, they ask me what they should do in some situations. Yes, this might not be sufficient for some people, but we have to realize that we need to give time for some situation, for some societies to let go of their old traditions, because it's a part of them, it's rooted in their lives. It's not going to leave them this easily. For my family to let go of some traditions like not talking about child marriage anymore and seeing me doing interviews with no scarf or collaborating with guys, it's just like it gives me more motivation, inspires me to do more, to move forward, and it helps me to understand that change is possible. It's going to take a long time, but if we want to see a big change that's going to last forever, it's going to take a long time too. So today I'm at Bard College in New York City. In New York, it's a beautiful place. I don't know if you have been here before or not, but I love it a lot. When I was trying to pick a college, I was very scared. First of all, I went to American University, but it was not my place. So then I applied to Bard College. Now I'm very happy with my decision. And I'm planning to major in international relations because I really want to be a part of Afghan government. Besides that, obviously, I'm going to continue my music because my music, I did not pick it because I like it. I I picked it because it allowed me, it helps me to express myself. And it's going to be a part of me. It's going to be a part of my advocacy work forever because with music, I can tell more. With music, I can do my advocacy better because music is such a powerful tool. And right now, as you know, it's summer and quarantine with all of this. I'm still doing my advocacy work, like through Zoom, through just recording videos, performances, sending it to other events. So I'm still doing this, also trying to take summer classes because I want to be a little bit free next year because this semester I took so many credits, it was crazy for me, and I could just do a little bit of my advocacy work, which was not okay. What else? Oh, I took so much. Okay.
So I first want to just thank you again for taking your time to come speak to all of us. And I think I really can speak to for everyone and say that your music is powerful, your story is powerful, your work is powerful, and you are powerful. And I think, you know, like as a young girl myself, like it's just really inspiring. And I think like obviously I'm in a different situation than you were at my age, but I think there's a lot that I can take from you. And I think even, you know, like a 50-year-old man can take a lot from you. And I think that I just want to thank you a lot again. And so, and I think a lot of people in the comments have really echoed my appreciation for your time and your work. And yeah, so right now I'm going to ask a couple of questions that were submitted in the registration, and then the chat is open for everyone to continue to ask some questions. So the first question is, what is your top piece of advice for student activists?
So I always get that actually. And I'm always saying what I think is the best. It might not be the right thing. Or I don't know, but I'm gonna tell you that I've worked with so many young activists and who had no support and sometimes had support just a little bit. The fact that they stood up not only for their rights but for the rights of others, it's amazing. When you see them that they're standing for other people with empty handed, it just gives you so much energy and hope that you should be beside that person and fighting. Because if you want to bring peace, you can't just sit down and wait for others. You have to start it no matter what you have in available, you know. So I can tell them that when I started, I had nothing, like no support from family. It was just 2 or 3 of my friends that I wanted to stand up for children's rights. And when I started, I just had the image that children, they can be free, they can have their childhood, they can be children, and the image of freedom, the image of having a better life, not only for myself, for others, it helped me to continue my work. So I would love for them to have an image that whatever they're going to fight for, it's going to change someone else's life. Like sometimes we're saying, I can't fight for child marriage because it's not a small issue, it's huge. I can change it myself. I have no money, I have no power, I'm not in a top position. But in fact, you are making a big change when you join, because others can follow you too. You can motivate other people to join on the same path with you. So when you have the motivation to just do what you believe is right, that is a huge change. You may not see the positive changes of it, but in the future you're going to see it. Like when I started my advocacy work, the number of child marriage, it was 15 million every year, and now it's 12 million. At the
Hello?
beginning,
Hello?
like I might not make a big change,
No, what'd
but
you
it
say?
did actually make a change. So when we join together, if we have more power and we can make great changes.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, and I think that's a really important message, that change isn't just going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen over time, and it might even happen in ways we don't think it's going to happen. So yeah, so with that, I'm going to hand it off to Adnan, and he's going to continue. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Hi, Karen, you might have to fill in. My computer glitched, and if there's a question on there, I can't open it, but I have my own questions, but I'll wait till that's done.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sonita, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to ask you, especially on the notion of forced marriage, child marriage, how do you view the role of men, particularly young boys, and what's the landscape that you've seen evolve, especially particularly in Afghanistan or in Iran? That do you see progress moving in how men view this, and are they growing and expanding their view and taking responsibility and speaking up and not being silent? And what is your perspective on that, and what advice you have for people to push that forward more?
So we know that child marriage is not happening only to girls. It's also boys. Mostly you can see it in India. So the reason that we mostly talk about girls is because the effects is higher for them. And in Afghanistan, boys are married not because they want to, just because their parents, they have this view that they at age maybe 18 they have to have a family already settled. So this is what the society believes, and they can't really stand up against a crew of people, and they have to follow what they were told. As I said, this is something that we know it's wrong, but if we don't do it, it's even worse. And I have a few friends in Afghanistan that he was married, he was engaged with someone, and he ran away to Iran because he didn't want to be there, he didn't want to marry. But his parents were very mad at him because of running away, because of not standing there and marrying. But the fact that the marriage for boys is more harmful than girls sometimes, because they have to travel to other countries to make money and then come back to their countries and pay that money to like buy a girl. This is how it is in Afghanistan. So this is not only very dangerous for them, like traveling, working with really physical work. This can hurt them emotionally and physically. And uh, in Afghanistan, parents, there are so many NGOs working in Afghanistan with parents sometimes, but mostly with young people. And this is wrong because young people already know what is good for them, especially today because of the help of internet. There are so many people protesting in Afghanistan against the peace process, for example, right now, because they know that if they're going to have the Taliban in Afghanistan, they won't be able to have a good education. But parents, they don't think that education worth that much. So if we really want to have like young people to react to this child marriage or react against old traditions like child marriage, like traveling to other countries, we must start first with parents to teach them what is really happening to them, because already boys know. So yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that response, because I think even for me, and maybe I can speak on behalf of some other people here, your response in itself, I think, broke some stereotypes that maybe we were thinking that this is only affecting one demographic, and that in fact it's affecting so much more. And I appreciate you opening our eyes that that it's not just affecting one demographic, it's affecting everyone. I have one simple question for you, follow up, and it's my last. Who's your favorite rapper right now that gives you inspiration?
Oh, there are so many, but one, I don't think you know him. He's from Iran still. It's Yas. So I also really, really like MHD's work. Do you know him?
No, but
Maybe
I'll
not.
look it up.
Yeah. And those are my favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, because Yas also, he raps mostly about global issues.
Okay.
And when I was in Iran, after like knowing rap, I started to listen to him more. So I got more ideas when I used to listen to him.
Sonita, this is Karen again. So I have a question. So, I think your insights for students on how to be activists is important. But another piece of that is, how do you take care of yourself? Because this work is really hard. So when you're feeling like, what are your music obviously is both an outlet and how you communicate your message, but what else do you do to take care of yourself when you're doing this hard work?
So activism, honestly, sometimes it's really hard for me, like today. I was trying to write a song about racism because it's happening all over the world. And sometimes we don't really get to know where exactly it's happening and what they do to people, like refugees in Iran. So it was very hard for me to watch some of the videos that recently happened to Afghan people trying to pass the border, and they were shot, they were burned. So it's really hard. Sometimes it makes me cry. It's too much. But I know, as you said, it can be really tough to do advocacy work. And when I also perform my songs, especially child marriage, it just takes me back to where it happened, when it happened, and what it was actually like to be at this situation. So when I'm at this moment, I try to take a break. I love watching scary movies. And then I love biking, and spending time with friends is a big part of it. That makes me feel good and gives me more energy. Also cooking. What else? I also play music, and recently I decided to learn a new instrument, playing drums. So these are the things that keep me like forget about what happened for a few hours. So yeah.
It looks like we have a question that just came in from one of our lead educators, Chris Buckley in Connecticut. So I'll pass it over to you.
Sure, thanks. Hi, Sonita. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about how you manage the concept of fear, knowing that in the current climate in the United States, many people struggle with the fact that if they take they're fearful of the repercussions that will come back on them if they take a stand, make a statement. I was speaking with some folks who own their own businesses and are afraid that if they take a stand that's unpopular, it would hurt them, down the road. And I was just kind of curious if you could speak to the idea of how you manage the idea of fear.
Wow. So I didn't quite understand the question. If you could just make it simpler. Like, do you mean, hello?
Yeah, you spoke a little bit about how you took a stand. You did something that you went against what your parents were going to like, and maybe what many people around you, and you did something that was very courageous. And I think a lot of people struggle with that idea, and I just maybe
Taking action?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I saw like all the, not all of them, but some of the protesting videos that I don't honestly know how this is going to help. If you're going to protest, it should be peaceful. Because I saw videos, some people's shops were robbed, and if they're scared of being harmed by other protesters, I don't really know how to respond to this because I've never experienced it myself. Also, if this is something that they truly believe in, there shouldn't be anything on their way to stop them from fighting for it. Because for me, honestly, I was done with life. I was like, I can't live with fears anymore. So I decided if I want to live, I want to live free. And if this is going to damage me forever, I just want to end it in a way that at least I tried for my freedom. So I think it's mainly related to how much you care about the issue, how much you care about the cause that you're fighting for, because I cared a lot. That was, for me, the end or the beginning of a new life.
So Sonita, I know that you recently you were involved with a fundraiser, I think, but could you just talk briefly about some of your work with the UN? Because I know you've also been really a presence there, and yeah, just some of that work and how you feel about it, and kind of what's next. Besides being besides leading Afghanistan, what are we going to see before that?
So I still do a lot of in collaboration with the UN Chamber of Music, And I have a new collaboration coming. It's for immigration, and it's for child labor. And the performance that I did for women, for Afghan women, to do fundraising for the attack that happened in Afghanistan that killed mothers and newborn babies. We decided to do this live performance just to raise money for the survivors of the attack. And in the future, I am planning to work with them more. Also, in the coming month, I have another performance with Nora. I don't think you know her, but she works for immigration. My job is to make a new song and perform it with orchestra. Working with the UN, it's great. It's always very exciting, but I feel like whenever I go back to UN, it's the same problem, same issue, never really changes anything. So sometimes it's frustrating for me to just go back, say things, hearing things that are the same. So it's nice to work with them, but I expect to see more new things, new changes. They do say that they are doing their best, but sometimes for me it's not enough to see. I mean, I do my best too, but I feel like we are more responsible. We are responsible to do a better job. If you want to really, if you are ahead of a group, ahead of an organization that will really fight for human rights, to promote them and to protect them, we have to see at least each year a little bit change in our process. So sometimes it's frustrating for me, but sometimes it's nice to perform there, to share my story with new people.
Sunita, could you actually speak a little bit more on that? So you were talking about now, you say you go back and back and back to the UN, but you feel like some things are not changing, right? And I'm curious from your observation, what are the things that are slowing it down? And do you have recommendations of what the issue is and how it could be resolved to speed up and make sure things are actually getting done? What do you see from your perspective as a real tangible solution?
So, like I mentioned it before, whenever I go there, they're like, we mentioned they spend like billions of dollars, for example, in Afghanistan, and they were expecting the U.S. NGOs, the Western NGOs, to have an impact in Afghanistan, to empower about 72,000 Afghan women in Afghanistan, and yet there are not sufficient income. Why? Because what they do, they go straight to girls. They ask them, hey, come, we have this school, we have these opportunities for you to join us, to learn how to write, read, speak English, or play music. The problem is that you can knock on each door asking uh, girls that they can't really do anything without their parents' permission. This can be viewed as cultural violation for Western NGOs to go in Afghanistan without knowing where the problem lays, where the problem is rooted, and asking everyone, young people, to seek a better future for themselves. That doesn't help. No matter how much money you spend, it's not going to help them at all, because we need to start first with parents. These are parents, they think that whatever happened in their past, their parents did, they have to follow that. So that means first we need to help them understand, to have a better understanding of what human rights means in Afghanistan. Because obviously Muslim people, they have their own definition of human rights, but Western people, they have their own definition. So if they really want to work together to promote human rights in Afghanistan, they have to also value and respect other people's beliefs and point of view. So that's the problem. They don't talk to them at all. They just go and think, now this is our belief of human rights. This is how people can develop their future. So this is what we're gonna tell them to do. But they don't ask what Afghan people what they should do. And that's why I tell them, if you really want to see big changes in Afghanistan, you have to, first of all, work with imams, work with ahuns, work with religious leaders and local NGOs, because they know how to lead you. They know how to have a better relationship with parents. So yeah, that's my own opinion.
Thank you so much. And I think you highlight something that's really important, especially for the students that are listening, is as you go on your journey of becoming a defender, of really asking yourself what you're doing to work with a community and not on behalf of a community. And Sonita raises that point very clearly of, you know, when you're a defender, one of your first reasons is to just listen and really listen to understand and not listen to give a reply. And so I appreciate you giving that insight with that example of that kind of approach to lasting change. So thank you.
Thank you.
So I know we're getting near the end of our time together, and Sonita, I know you're at work.
Fortunately, today no one is here.
So I just wanted to call out to see if there are any more questions from Sonita before we close for the afternoon. I think your story it speaks for itself, and how you've taken this work forward through your music is really powerful.
Thank you so much. Thanks for giving the chance to be among you guys.
Yeah.
So are you guys like mostly students and teachers?
I think today we have a pretty even split. We have quite a few students and quite a few faculty. We have kind of a good split today.
Yeah, nice.
I see Tootie has a question.
Where am I looking? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, hi Sonita. We met some years ago at Hunter College High School. My students interviewed you for RFK. I don't know if you remember, but it's nice to see you after a couple of years. My question is, so what are you studying in college, and are you finding any of the, the college experience, how's that going to be useful to you kind of as you prepare for whatever's next, which it sounds like is kind of a life in advocacy kind of work?
So I really wanted to become a lawyer, first of all, but it's hard. It has so much reading, and my English, I'm still working on it. So now I found international relations really interesting. So far I'm really into it. So I think I'm going to do international relations for my major. And as I said, Bard is an amazing place because we have students from so many other different countries. I've learned a lot here from different events. We always have different events happening on the campus, not only like fun ones, but also to promote and protect human rights. And I think I didn't really see that when I was at AU, American University in DC. So I really appreciate them for caring about others and about human rights here at Bard. And I have learned a lot how to do communication, mostly because sometimes it was hard for me when I had to go somewhere and tell my story. It was kind of hard for me, but now communicating with teachers, with students, it gives me more confidence to do that. And also I love the relationship between students and teachers. It's not like just students and teachers, it's more like friends, which I really appreciate. What else? And Yes, I think that's it.
Thank you. Well, I want to really acknowledge the time and recognize that people have so much going on. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Simran, for helping facilitate this today. And Sonita, mostly, thank you so much.
Thank
Your
you.
work inspires. I want to make sure, we'll make sure people can look at your Discovery Education vignette because it is so powerful. Raptivists are awesome. So much appreciation to you, my friend, and to everyone else. Please be safe, go forward with kindness and love because we need it desperately. And have a great weekend, everyone. Sonita, take good care.
Thank you so much. Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.